And the big thing about the way he's playing now is the decision making. And this is a challenge that Randall had, and really kind of slowed down Randall's, I think his development as a quarterback, because you've got to give the play a chance. You know, if they have a passing play, you've got to stay in the pocket, keep your eyes downfield, and give the guys a chance to run the route. And Jalen has the same, challenge that Randall had, which is because he can run, you can do it too quick. You can, abandon the play that was called, which is the pass play. You can abandon the routes, and you could have a guy down there wide open, and you always pulling the ball down and taking off. Let's say 1,000, 2,000, then you're gone, rather than giving the play a chance. And you can see that they're coaching Jalen to relax there in that pocket, give the play a chance. And he's doing a better job of that. And that's going to advance him as a quarterback, because really, as great as he is as a runner, if you're going to be a great quarterback, you've got to be able to execute the entire game from the pocket. And when you can do that, then your ability to run is an addition.
A Tuesday edition of Birds 365 here on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. McMullen and McDonald with you. Look who's up.
Yeah.
Played how many years here in Philadelphia? G4? I know we finish out. We try and keep that 2 years with the Cowboys to finish off the career under wraps. But how many years you put in Eagle Green, big guy?
It was just 3 years here. I played 6 in Detroit. And 3 here, and then, 2 down there at other places.
Yeah, you got to get to the decade, JAKIB. We'll forgive that. But, I want to talk about, we got a linebacker here. I want to talk about linebackers, because I think one of the understated parts of this team kind of pointing itself in the right direction has been the move away from Eric Wilson, putting TJ Edwards into the game. Nick Sirianni talked about it after this game. The physicality that TJ Edwards has brought to this defense. Look, they're trying to legislate, Gary, they're trying to legislate physicality out of this game. But when physical guys show up, it still means something. And he's sticking people.
That's right, without a doubt. And really, that was part of what we were talking about with the offense, with the running game and everything, because, it brings a certain confidence to a team, when you're able to really kind of exert your will on the opponent. And really, TJ Edwards, I really like what he's doing. And, it's amazing that you have to make that big of a deal out of it. But when you see the offensive line coming at you, you attack them. You don't wait there for them. And that's what he does. And he's an aggressive player. You could see him before the snap. He's leaning forward, which you should be on the early downs, even though this is a passing league now. And they definitely have to have people in there that can run with people and and defend the pass. But the way TJ Edwards has just reading his keys, attacking the line of scrimmage, and then the other things, which is, if you look at the linemen, a lot of times when the big guys get tired, they don't care if they're tipping off where they're going with the ball. So they start leaning, and if you really study them, a lot of times they'll kind of let you know the play that's getting ready to be run. And TJ Edwards does a good job of looking at the formation, reading that, studying what the other team does. And you can see he's got instincts, and some things you just cannot teach. Either the guy has it or he doesn't. And he's got the instincts to play the linebacker position. And he's aggressive, and it's what you expect. And really, he's really helped the defense tremendously, and he really stands out there. And the young kid, Davion Taylor, I see a lot of the same qualities with him, but he's got a lot to learn about formations and about what teams are trying to do. And on the play, I know I saw the play that they ran against them a couple weeks ago. With the game on the line, they ran a play, the Chargers, which was kind of designed at him because they had the tight end from the other side who was off the ball. They had him come behind the line of scrimmage and leak out on one of the big plays that really kind of sealed that game. And he should remember that because he's gonna see that again. Might be a year from now in a big play. But I really like the way he's going to. I think he's got the capabilities of being a quality linebacker as well in the NFL.
Gee, I do remember watching you play, certainly with the Eagles, your 3 years here. And you were a guy who was not afraid to lay the wood. And as Johnny correctly pointed out, they're trying to legislate that out of the National Football League, which I know you wouldn't have liked. I don't necessarily like because I'm an old school football fan. But you were also an emotional player, more so physical than emotional, but you used your emotions to get you up for games, to get ready to play, and you certainly showed that on the field. That's another thing the NFL is trying to legislate out of the game. These taunting calls on a week-in, week-out basis just annoy me to no end as a former player. What would you have done? Would you have tried to talk to the coaches? Would you have tried to talk? All right, listen, guys, they're calling this crap, so we have to react to it. Would you have taken your chances? How would you handle this new wrinkle of the no NFL, no fun league taking taunting to the level that they are?
Well, years ago, you wouldn't necessarily, do things in front of the refs, but you would get a guy back. If a guy did something to you, you'd be patient. You'd catch him at the right time in a pile and hit him, in the gut or below her, or below that, and hit him in weak spots and let him lie there. When the guys would come out, what's wrong with him? Whatever, what's wrong with him. He got hit in a bad place, and so you get the other guys back. But the thing with the taunting, they really don't want guys to where something's going to wind up blowing up. That's what they're really concerned about. Is that somebody's going to start something and you're going to end up with a fight out there on the field, and they really don't want that type of thing. And the refs really, they're not crazy about it because it's tough to call. I mean, when are you going to call that? And are you going to, a lot of times you're going to catch the second guy who says something, and they just don't want it looking where after every play. And, this is a generation that's different than the one, that I played in. They want to celebrate everything. I mean, so they're trying to get a hold of it, and I know a lot of the guys that are sitting in there in the meetings about this and talking about it, and they don't really know what to do about it. They just don't want things to get out of control. They want the refs to be able to control things so they don't have a melee. That's really what they're trying to make sure that it doesn't happen. Because what happens is somebody says something somebody doesn't like, they're going to remember it. And then all of a sudden you have, let's say, a few verbal things that are going on. Then all of a sudden it blows up and you got a fight going on where you got two teams going at it. It wouldn't be good for the league. It's something they don't want. And that's what they're really guarding because they don't want, guys to continue saying things to each other all the time. And then it builds up and somebody just loses it. And, if you have some of these guys lose it, you could have some really ugly things happen. So that's what it's really about. But it's difficult to say, when, because, there's sometimes, of course, with some of the hits on the quarterback, they want to protect the quarterback. You know why they want to protect the quarterback. It's not personal. It's business. Yeah. And they're paying these quarterbacks, big money. They want to have an exciting game where they're scoring and everything. So that's why, they've made a lot of these decisions. And I feel sorry for him. I mean, I know John Runyon, he's got has a hand in deciding on the fines and, making sure all that goes through and all that. So, you got that going on. And then, Troy Vincent has got a hand in a lot of this stuff. And they're in a tough situation, but they want everybody to enjoy the game. They want people to enjoy the game, but they don't want things to get out of hand and it to be, the simmering be that's underneath everything. And then all of a sudden you got this blow up that was kind of building. They want to cut it off by giving out penalties and that sort of thing. So, I don't like it because at times, you give it to the wrong guy and it's something over something like, what could he have said that bad? But the reason they're doing it is they don't want, like I said, that melee. So they want to avoid that.
As a former defensive player, G, you're fighting and scratching. Everything's against you guys in the modern game on the defensive side. You just mentioned they know where the money is. They know who they're protecting. They want the quarterbacks out there. They want passing game. They want points. So you're fighting and clawing. You're playing good defense. You get a ticky-tack taunting penalty. Might be a roughing the passer. Might be pass interference down the field. How difficult is it to reset yourself in 40 seconds, basically, and say, all right, we got to go back out there, 3rd and 15 turned into 1st and 10. It's a tie game. How difficult is that for a defensive player's mindset?
Well, you really got to be tough-minded, right now with the way that they're calling things, because they don't let you really just go out and unleash, because really, I always enjoyed the defensive side of the ball because you could kind of empty out any kind of emotional issues you have. And that's why they had, some of our guys weren't all there. But a guy could go out and just unleash, but you can't do that now. You got to be under control or you're really going to hurt your team with penalties. And so, and then the passing game, if you're a linebacker now, you got to be able to run. If you got a linebacker in there that can't run, he's a liability because they're going to do things. They're going to get him exposed. They're going to get him in a single coverage or just crossing routes. They're going to run all day long because he can't run with these guys in a small area. So you got to be able to run. You got to be under control. And the thing that the Eagles were having a problem with the linebackers is you've got to be able to anticipate the route. You got to study what they like to do out of certain formations, because a lot of times they're running the route on you, even if you're in a zone. And if you're not smart and be able to anticipate where these guys are going, you're a liability. And that was what was happening earlier in the season with the Eagles linebackers. I tell you, they would run the ball at them, and then they would take advantage of them in pass plays. So you really got to be able to really study the game, and you got to be like a defensive back a lot of times, because you could get, you're one-on-one in that area with the tight end or running back or with the wide receiver. So the teams that are the best teams have those elite linebackers that can run a 4-3 or 4-4, and those are the guys that stand out. And now that's what you've got. You've got linebackers, and some of these guys they're just fast, and some teams are putting their safeties really kind of in linebacker positions because you got to be able to run. If you can't run now, you're a liability.
All right, G, I know you've been doing this football analyst thing for 25 years now, but I want to take you back to your player mindset again with a hypothetical question. You're on the sidelines. You're playing linebacker for the Denver Broncos this past week. You don't necessarily see all of the Darius Slay scoop and score. And you look up at the big jumbotron, which they now have in every stadium in the NFL, and you see the effort or lack thereof by Teddy Bridgewater in attempting to bring down Darius Slay. Do you say something to him on the sidelines right then and there? Do you wait till after the game? Do you not say anything because you don't know that that's your place? How would JAKIB have handled the Darius Slay, Teddy Bridgewater, Ole attempt at a tackle on the sidelines on Sunday?
Well, I'm probably going to say something to him after the game. I felt like saying something during the game, because during the game I felt like, dude, this is football. Like, what are you doing? And I know he, doesn't want to get hurt. Nobody wants to get hurt. But you've got to make that tackle, because really all you need to do is grab the guy, and you're going to get help. But I got to give Darius credit. for realizing the situation that you got a lot of guys on the field that don't want to make the tackle. Even some of the tight ends, they were running after him, but they really weren't really wanting to make the tackle. And so a lot of the guys, well, let's put it this way. The guys on offense are not there by accident. They don't want to play defense. And, I wouldn't have probably jumped in because, you have a guy lose his focus, especially quarterback. Most of them are cowards anyway, but I definitely would have said something. Probably, years ago, if it was years ago, I would have said something to him immediately. But nowadays, everything is so, political or whatever, on the sideline, that everything gets out. A lot of things used to happen years ago that never got out. But now you got social media and you got a lot of the guys now, they are going to talk in front of the public. Well, a lot of things happen with us. There would be fights on the team, different things that happened that never got out because guys wouldn't. But a number of guys would have went up to him and tell him, look, if you do that again, I'm going to punch you in your face. and the number of guys would have told him that. We're playing a game and we're all fighting and you're just kind of acting like you're not a football player. And he kind of apologized for it and everything. But, for a guy to do that, that's something that sticks with the rest of the team and will make it hard for him to be able to say anything to anybody else. Because one of the reasons that as a leader on the team that you play hard, that you can't say anything to anybody if you don't play hard because the guys are going to challenge you. They're going to go, what are you talking about? So that's why in practice, you got to run. If you're one of the team captains, you got to run through everything because everybody's looking at you because you got to turn to guys and say, hey, man, I need you to pick it up. Yeah. And he really kind of gave up his leadership with that play. I don't know.
It's amazing because people in Denver, it's amazing, Gary, because people in Denver are already talking about should they give Drew Lock an opportunity to take over as quarterback. And Teddy Bridgewater had been good. They had been overachieving to this point. It's a kid who almost had his leg amputated on the field. It's not like he's not tough. Yeah. He's a tough player. It's amazing how one play can change the narrative of a particular season.
That is true. Because I tell you, if you play the quarterback position, you got to have some toughness because I wouldn't want to play it. The guys, falling by your legs all the time. And, a guy can come in low and just basically tear your knee up. I'd much rather be the aggressor. And I don't know how that's going to work out, though, because that looked ugly, man. That was to just turn down even making an attempt, and you got a team that was a big game for Denver. They win that game, man. Yeah. That was a big game for them. So
and that was a big play. They were driving. They were driving. That was the crux of the whole game, that play.
That was the biggest play in the game, no doubt about it. Huge turnaround where Eagles wind up scoring a touchdown when, Denver was getting ready to score. Really, Denver, boy, in the red zone, they lost the game in the red zone. Otherwise, they did a good job of moving the ball against the Eagles, but when they got down in scoring territory, they come out with one touchdown over about 5 trips into the red zone, and you got one touchdown for it. And even got a blocked field goal, too.
Yeah.
JAKIB, you played with a guy by the name of Randall Cunningham during your time here in Philadelphia. There are some traits that the current Eagle quarterback has that he shares with Randall Cunningham, certainly the ability to make plays with his legs. But they kind of said the same thing about Randall when he first came into the league. Wow, he's got some skills. Accuracy is going to be the question. Can he deliver the football accurately enough? And surely Randall got better in his accuracy. I think it could even got better than he did. He had been coached a little bit better, but we'll put that aside for a second. But there are some parallels to be drawn between Randall Cunningham and Jalen Hurts, as far as I'm concerned. Do you see it the same way?
Oh, without a doubt. Both of them, they're faster than they think because they both got the long stride. And you see a lot of times with Jalen, and this was true with Randall as well, is the guy chasing him or the angle he's taking, he ends up taking a bad angle because he doesn't realize how fast he's running because he's got that long stride. And, Jalen he's got some strong legs. We've all heard about how much, he can do with the squat and everything, how strong he is. But his lower body is very strong because he runs through tackles.
Yeah.
And the big thing about the way he's playing now is the decision making. And this is a challenge that Randall had and really kind of slowed down Randall's, I think his development as a quarterback, because you've got to give the play a chance. If they have a passing play, you've got to stay in the pocket, keep your eyes downfield, and give the guys a chance to run the route. And Jalen has the same, challenge that Randall had, which is because he can run, you can do it too quick. You can, abandon the play that was called, which is the pass play. You can abandon the routes, and you could have a guy down there wide open, and you always pulling the ball down and taking off. Let's say 1 1,000, 2 1,000, then you're going, rather than giving the play a chance. And you can see that they're coaching Jalen to relax there in that pocket, give the play a chance. And he's doing a better job of that. And that's going to advance him as a quarterback, because really, as great as he is as a runner, if you're going to be a great quarterback, you've got to be able to execute the entire game from the pocket. And when you can do that, then your ability to run is an addition, because, if the play breaks down, then you can start scrambling and buy time and even run and get yardage. But you just don't want to abandon the play that was called, the pass play, the route, because you could have somebody down there wide open. And if you give it a chance and then you use your ability, then it becomes an addition and makes you even better. And you can see Jalen is doing that now. He's giving the play a chance, and then he's utilizing his legs later in the play. And that's why I definitely, see him, and I see the Randall Cunningham in him, and he's getting better every game. I really like the progress that he's making. I think everybody can clearly see it.
To expand on Jalen's impact on the running game, and he's tremendous at it. I mean, other than Lamar Jackson, he's the best running quarterback in the NFL right now. But this running game as a whole has taken off with the shift of mindset from the RPO heavy stuff to some more traditional under center, even, between the tackles, just as simple as that running. Jordan Howard back in the lineup, Miles Sanders injured. Eagles have a little bit of a problem here. Miles is ready to come back. He's clearly the more talented player, but for whatever reason, they seem to be a better football team with Jordan Howard. How do you handle that?
Well, this is a good problem. You don't mind having this problem, because I don't see how you can, not make Jordan Howard a part of, the future, of what you're going to do this year. He gives you that physical running back. He runs hard. He's running over people. And he's just done a great job of keeping his eyes. Both of the guys have been doing a great job of running the daylight. They made good cuts. They're making good decisions. They're not dancing. They're getting yardage. They're, running downhill. And even Boston Scott, it's a good changeover because he's so small. And a lot of times you can put in a small running back, and times you can't see him as well because he's behind the big mammoth lineman. And by the time you see him, boom, he's by you. So they're a good combination. I got to see how they're going to play this. You would like to maybe, give everybody some, but it's a good problem to have. The fact that they're going to run the ball and they could find different things, because I don't know, Miles, he's not the best receiver. And with the screens is a big part of their offense. They've been really able to have some big plays against the screens. So I don't know how they're going to play this, but it's a good problem, and you can see the line. See, probably even more than the running backs, you look at the offensive line, they got the young guys up there. young guys want to run block.
Yeah.
You know, they want to get physical. And so Landon Dickerson and Jordan Mailata over there, they're loving them when they can fire off and hit somebody in the mouth. So I think they're going to get better. They're just going to get better because a line gets used to playing with each other and they get into more of a flow, and you could see that they're getting better. And man, it's hard, you know, even as good as Miles is.
Well, real quick, Gary, you said dancing before. Does Miles dance too much? Does he? He's looking at the home run. At
times, yeah, he does. He dances too much. And what they're doing is they go downhill, man. They're hitting the hole, you know. They might take 1 or 2 steps and boom, they're hitting the hole. They're getting downhill. And Miles at times is looking for the home run all the time. And at times he gets caught back there dancing. So what they say, if it's not fixed, you know, I mean, if it's not broken, don't try to fix it.
We'll see how Sirianni shakes it out this week.
Hey, that's their problem.
I want to ask about another problem guy on offense, and that's Jalen Reagor. First-round draft pick last year, very disappointing rookie season. Oh, he's doubling down. The coach talks about doubling down all the time. Jalen Reagor, worse than he was last year, if that's possible. But they don't have other options at wide receiver. John gives the Eagles a lot of credit, as well he should, for the depth they have on the offensive line. Where the hell's the depth at the wide receiver that they got to continue to run Jalen Reagor out there on a week-in, week-out basis? How did the Eagles attempt to get whatever they can get out of Jalen Reagor for the rest of this season?
Well, you know, you see Denver, when they tried that reverse, you know, everybody knows that, you know, they have tried to, you know, put together a game plan to get him involved in that way. But he clearly is not a good route runner. He's inconsistent when it comes to catching the football. And, you know, he has some deep speed, but he just can't run the entire route tree. And especially, I know, in comparison to a great route runner like Devonta Smith, he's really kind of been exposed to how bad of a pick it was, you know. Just, I don't know what they're going to do with him. I don't see the need in him. I mean, because you really want to give Quez Watkins as much work as you can get because, you know, he's still a work in progress. But you see the potential there. He's got good size and speed. And so you want to give him every opportunity he can. But you really don't have time for a guy like Jalen Reagor. And I don't know what they're going to do with him the rest of the year because, you know, this whole screen game and everything, teams are going to know that's all you got to worry about with him. Yeah. So I think he's just going to go down. You know, you play him. Maybe you can play DB because he can't play wide receiver. You know, maybe you put him there. But I think they're just going to utilize him in the special teams and with gadgets and things like reverses and the quick screens and all that. But I just don't see much there. When I was out at the camp looking at him, he doesn't catch the ball well. You can see he's always double catching the ball. He's not comfortable there, and he doesn't do a good job of running routes. He's not patient with the way he runs his routes. So I don't see where you got time for him. I mean, you know, maybe they could find, maybe he'd be a good blocker. I don't know. I mean, I don't see much, you know, use for the kid. And man, you think about those 2 picks. You got Jalen Reagor and J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. Boy, really talking about missing. You really got some bad misses there. But
I mean, one of the reasons the Eagles can't bench Jalen Reagor is because of J.J. Arcega-Whiteside.
Yep.
I mean, they have nothing better. So that, but I do want to, the optimistic part of that, and I do want to, last one from me, Gary, and watch Gary on Fox 29. You can read him in his own website, JAKIB.com. But Devonta Smith, you mentioned his route running as a rookie. I've been around this league for a long time. You've been around it longer. I don't see many rookie receivers who come in and run routes like he can run. And oh, by the way, he's 166 pounds, and somehow he's the best run blocking wide receiver on this team. he's a special player.
Well, I've been around guys like that. Even in basketball, I have, and when I was a kid playing basketball, you see these guys that are real skinny, but that doesn't, you don't realize how strong a guy is. See, and that's where he's deceptive. I don't know. I don't want to get all deep in it. Maybe he's got heavy bones or whatever it is, but he's stronger than he looks. And that's why, he's kind of deceptive. And a lot of the guys that play against him, they find that out when they play against him, how strong he is. Like he was able to come down with that ball on Sunday, that 50-50 ball on the first touchdown. He does that. And you notice that Jalen Reagor, he never comes down with the ball. I mean, that's another problem. But and the kid is patient. As a route runner, a lot of times a receiver is so frantic about getting this opportunity to catch the ball. And a lot of times it's like this with running backs. They don't give you a chance to take the fake. They're running it so fast because they think they're going to get an opportunity to catch the ball. So they're frantic about it. He's very cool. He gives you a chance to take the bait. He runs his route. He'll give you plenty of chance to take the bait. And because of that the calmness he has, that's the best route runners are those type of guys. It's almost like they got a clock in their head. They know how much time they have to get open, and they just get open at the end of the route. They'll let you kind of be with them during the route, but at the end of the route, that's when they kind of take advantage of, because they get you kind of relaxed like you got them covered, and then all of a sudden they make a move. So he's got all those things, and usually you only see that in veteran receivers. That's what's really surprising about him, because if you see a guy that's a great route runner, usually it's a guy that's been around the league a little while. But for him to come in the league and be able to run routes like that is really shocking. And it's the reason he won the Heisman Trophy, and he's the reason that the Eagles they made the right move in getting this kid, because he's going to be somebody who's going to be open for about 10 to 15 years. He'll be open. He'll always be open.
All right, G, last one for me. And you reminded me of my favorite JAKIBism with your big boned comment on Devonta Smith. I'm doing a show with G, and we're talking about a player, and he said, well, he's got the Dunlap build. And I said, Dunlap? What do you mean by Dunlap build? Well, his belly Dunlapped over his belt at this point. I think of that when I see Nate Herbig on a week in, week out basis. Is that just his build? Or it could, and Herbig's a great little player. You stick him in, he doesn't hurt you. He's never going to be a starter in this league, but he's a solid backup and the like. But I look at him, he looks like the Pillsbury Doughboy. Is he one of those JAKIB Dunlap guys, or is that just him?
Well, he's one of those guys. He's without a doubt. It'll probably even get bigger as he stays in the league. Wow, and then he's telling the coach, I'm losing weight, coach. I'm getting trimming down, until he comes in there. And you always used to see that. I mean, when we would come in the locker room, you always want to get in there and get your shower before those offensive linemen get in there, because there's some stuff you don't want to see. In fact, we had a guy. He was one of our, he was a black player. I'm not gonna give his name, but his nickname was Mudslide. Okay. Ooh. Now, what do you think he looked like?
Yeah.
His nickname was Mudslide.
That's a word picture I don't want to remember, JAKIB. Thank you very much for that.
But the big linemen, though, a lot of times, they don't have the body that you want to see. And but as long as they were doing the job, hey, they were your brother and you loved them, and they're doing their job, because you really needed them when the game was on the line. They're keeping guys off your quarterback and they're blocking guys. So we always had fun with it, and that's really the thing that I miss about the game, is that you really develop great relationships and you have a lot of fun. It allows you to be a kid for a decade or so longer, until you got to get serious and go out and really start doing work. You could have fun with the guys, but and that's the thing all the players always talk about, is they miss the locker room, because it's no holds barred, and guys are jabbing each other all the time, and everybody's laughing. And that's one of the things you see. The Eagles look like they've got a good, close team, and I think they're going to just get better and better. And it's not out of the question for these guys to be standing around at the end of the season. So, and in the playoffs, because they don't have a hard stretch. And if they keep playing and improving as they have been, they could have some good things happen this season.
JAKIB Dunlap, the decade in the National Football League, having fun with his teammates. He now does the analysis for Fox 29. And when we ask him, he joins us here on Birds 365. G, good to catch up, brother. Appreciate it greatly. We'll get you back on down the road.
Sounds good. You guys have a great one.
That is Garry Cobb here with us on Birds 365. Always like to get a former player's perspective on things. A little different than us guys who never actually played the game. So it's good to get a guy like JAKIB on when we can. He's John McMullen. I'm Jody McDonald. We're coming right back here on Birds 365.